Hi crafty friends, it's Donna here from Donna is Playing Paper and also DonnaDoll74 on Instagram. And I've got a set of 3 cards for you today that really are one of a kinds because I've made these bouquets myself. And you can too. In today's video we're going to look at some ideas for using some small die sets to make lovely elegant cards. I'm going to flip all of these little sets over so that you can see the names, but I'll also put the names in the description box. I've chosen a lot of builder type dies. Flower builders, leaf builders, stem builders, one's even called bouquet builder. And then, without cutting all the individual elements apart, I laid them down on my cutting mat and cut out a whole lot of white, a bunch of different colours, and even a little bit of gold. And as I cut them, I put them all in a jar, and you can see the big mess that results here. Using white paper is a really great way to save money because you don't need to have card in every single colour. A couple of ways to hold the pieces still while you colour them are to either pop them into the negative space or to use a sticky mat. I'm using the waffle flower mat here, or to use a combination of both. Blending over the top of coloured paper is another great way to get a little bit of variation in colour. And then for some crazy reason, I decided I wanted to sort everything back into its own categories. And that's what I did. You can also see how I put the pieces on the die cutting mat. I got a little bit of footage of that. I'm going to spend just a couple of seconds looking at each of the sets that I have, although you may have different sets to this, and ways that they're designed to go together, but also ways that you can stretch them. This bouquet builder, bucket builder metal die had some really nice long stems, some lovely serrated leaves, and also some cupped flowers that could be layered or kept separate. This Dakota flower builder makes a great base for flowers. I'll start with the pieces in this die set. But some of the other sets that I had lovely flowers that would work well with this stem, and even this leaf makes a really fun futuristic flower. This Flower Builder 2 die set ended up being one of my favourites. I love the sweet little sprigs that it makes, and you can see me making it here with some of the dies that are included. But actually, this would make a great little holder for many different flowers. This next stamp set is called the Elodie Flower Builder, and the pieces go together really well, either layered on top of each other so that the top petals are slightly smaller than those underneath, or by swirling it around. There's a lovely centre in this set with holes in it, but once I'd layered up the card, I actually chose a different centre for some of them that was a little bit more plain. Now, remember this moment, because one of the things you can do is create little mini bouquet elements right from the start by adding leaves, and these leaves are from the same set, to your flowers. And I really liked this little one that I made. However, I forgot that I'd made it and that it was all in one piece. And you'll see the results of that later in this video. Next we have the Etched Stem Builder 1, and this had a million tiny pieces. And I ended up using these as fillers for some of my cards, and also I combined them with those sweet little sprigs from an earlier set. When I put in my order, I definitely wanted some leaves, and so I bought this Etched Leaves metal die, which has a range of big leaves, some of which can be layered, but also this tiny little leaf sprig and smaller leaves that I also used to add flowers to. And finally, I have some sweet little flowers from the Sophie flower dies, and these can be layered up or used as individual dies. I've done both. Let's make some cards. I'm going to start by making a frame. Any shape of frame would work for this, but I'm using the Vintage Labels 1 nesting dies and choosing dies that are 2 apart so that I get a decent depth of frame, wide enough that I can put some double-sided tape behind it. I'm using the centre to position my frame, and then once that's down, I'm actually going to remove that centre, put some glue on it, and glue it back in place. I'm going to use a sentiment from this Rainbow Poppy Sentiments sheet. Perhaps happy birthday is better than get lost? What do you think? I'm going to use the sentiment to hide any messiness around the stems of this bouquet. I'm starting with my bigger flowers. I've chosen to put them at the top. You could put them in the middle, I guess, and have some further sprigs of small flowers coming out above that. And then I'm filling in the gaps with some smaller flowers. Any place where the stems get a little bit messy and there's a join showing, I'm using the next flower to hide that. Here's this tiny little leaf die that I was talking about earlier. I've added a mix of flowers and leaves to that stem, and I decided to poke it underneath in the end, just to fill in some gaps. My happy birthday has changed colour, but the get lost is nowhere to be seen. And I'll just glue that down for a fun bouquet card. You could also make that a shaker if you wanted. For this card, I'm going to use the flowers as individuals and not make a bouquet. I'm starting out with the Card Creator 3 die, and I'm going to cut 3 of those. The lines in the middle of this are too narrow to use double-sided tape, and I really did want some height, so I'm just going to layer those up 3 high. Then I'm using the Leafy Garden 3D embossing folder to make my background. This is going to give the card a whole lot of texture, even where the flowers aren't. The Card Creator die is actually a metric sized die, so I'm going to make a metric card for this one. Once I've got them all glued together and glued down, I'm just going to put my Misty on there upside down to make sure it has good contact. Once it's dry, it's just a matter of finding an arrangement of flowers that you like. Here you can see I've made a bunch of sprigs with that Flower Builder 2 metal die, and once I've got them in place, I'm just cutting the stem so that they fit inside their box. I'm going to use a sentiment from this black and white sentiment set. I'm not sure which colour I'll use yet, so I've cut a black and a white and just gone around the outside of the black with my Memento Tuxedo black marker to make sure it looks very professional. And then, after a lot of toing and froing, and toing and froing, and toing and froing, I decided on the white for this card. Finally, we have a quick and easy card with a simple bouquet. You might recognise one element in this bouquet. I'm going to go back to a USA size card for this one. I'm using the same 3D Leafy Garden embossing folder. I have pre-made a bouquet. I've done that by putting together a range of flowers and leaves that I like, and then pressing some press and seal onto the top of that to hold it together. I did it rather less violently than you just saw with the pink version. And I've decided that I might use that black thank you with this. I quite like how the black pops. The way that the press and seal really helps is that you can press it down onto your card and then use it as a hinge, flipping your bouquet backwards and forwards into the same spot. So I've glued just the back flowers. That is, the flowers that I can see all of when I look from the back. Once that's dry, I can peel this press and seal back, or I can wait till it's not quite dry and fiddle and faddle it back, and then look at the next layer of leaves that I can see all of and put some glue on those. Only you may already recognise that those leaves are part of the bouquet that I made earlier. I didn't, and that's why there's so much drama happening right now, which I thought I'd put in for your entertainment. Of course, I can't lift just the flower because the leaves are well and truly attached from the day before. Eventually, I put my brain in, I realise what I've done, and I decide that instead of popping up just the one flower, I'll pop up that whole element with foam tape. And so that's what I do, eventually. I'm going to give that a really fine border of the same green as my first card and add the thank you with a little foam tape to complete this card. It's a really simple way to use bits and pieces that you have and to create your own bouquets that nobody else has, because they're your own creation. This one uses quite a few flowers with ink blending onto coloured paper, and I really like how it looks. I'll leave you with some pictures of the finished cards. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, that you're inspired to break out some small dies and put together some cards, and that you'll be back for some more videos. Bye for now.